Today, and that is down to the budget in light of the reading of the national budget expected tomorrow by the Minister for Finance on behalf of the President. Welcome back for those that went with us into the break and into the updates on traffic. Time now for the Kickstarter, looking at local government budgeting, starring the local government's budget to the development process. That is very important. I'll be introducing my guests very shortly, but our preamble, local government budgeting is a complex and multifaceted process that plays a critical role in public finance. In essence, local government budgeting is shaping so much of how the public purse is used, especially in serving the community as a central tool for planning. Resource allocation is critical, policy implementation is more urgent. As we look forward to the reading of the national budget tomorrow, I'm joined by two persons who are at the helm of local government budgeting. Mariam Seguya, RDC, Kayunga, as well as Godfrey Luyombia, Speaker, Nakawa Division. Many thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Great. First things first, let me talk about what's happening across the city, its metropolitan areas, as well as the country. It's critical to budgeting processes, and I do believe that local governments across Kampala are grappling with what's going to be happening. But most importantly, when it comes to revenue collection, let me begin with Mr. Godfrey Luyombia. In your position as Speaker, there is a lot that you must be picking from the reaction to the auto EPS and how the government objective of being able to recoup some revenues from the population is perfectly understandable. But this controversy is something that must be worked on as soon as now.
Thank you so much, and a very good morning to our viewers. My name is Godfrey Luyombia, the Speaker for Nakawa Division Urban Council. We appreciate the role of paying tax because it is from that tax that services are being delivered to our communities. But one would ask, what is the interest of tasking Ugandans without their full participation? Because you may come up with policies that affect us, the citizenry, and at the end of the day, you might even fail to mobilize that revenue. In most cases, when you're introducing such revenues, I think stakeholders' involvement is very, very much important. You cannot just wake up from anywhere and say that let us introduce EPS and all that, without fully engaging the various stakeholders, without even sensitizing those that you intend to penalize. Even when it's a law or policy or a bill, the procedure for coming up with such, you need to consult from the grassroots. I'll give you an example of the tax that was introduced in 2005, the Local Government Ratings Act. Its intended purpose was to support the local community. But the local community had to first appreciate the role of that tax so that they can abide by that tax. It introduced a provision of paying property tax with the intention of using the same money, allocating the same money to provide services that were outlined in line with that tax. So when you come up and introduce such tax, it seems that the government's intention is to see a Ugandan being incurring a lot of, or a Ugandan not doing something out of the money he gets. It's like a Ugandan is working for the government to milk that person, as opposed to harmonizing this. So I think Ugandans and us, the leadership, we must condemn this, and we must raise up against this EPS system, because first of all, it is affecting the transport sector. Don't get surprised to see people getting back to work because of the when you look at tax drivers and car owners you might over penalize the driver and ends up not even being able to use the same vehicle. They might opt for borders, they might opt for bicycles, and others opt to walk to work.
Interesting there. We'll see how this particular rollout of this non-tax revenue collection will go. I hope that the concerns of communities, especially those that are heavily affected, are heard. Madam RDC, Kayunga district is a flashpoint area, and I believe that many motorists there are also crying foul, but implementation is something that is important. Resident district commissioners are always very critical to how policy is rolled out. I do not know where your place is in this particular controversial non-tax revenue mobilization drive, the EPS. Is it something that you have been mobilized on, especially when it comes to ensuring that motorists in Kayunga and indeed across the country adhere?
Good morning, viewers. This is Mariam Seguya, RDC of Kayunga. About revenue, definitely government needs revenue for the country, because without revenue, sectors cannot operate. The education sectors, the healthy sectors, and the other sectors, we cannot have community development, and therefore we need revenue and taxes. But what I see as a solution, the community, the public, should be educated on the purposes as to why they should give revenue. Because when you look at the scenario in the country, people think that giving taxes, giving revenue is a punishment from government. So therefore we need a lot of seminars, especially in public. We have to empower leaders, because the speaker was here complaining that he doesn't understand the APS. So there is a lot of, there should be a lot of empowerment, a lot of training, and so that people can know why the country needs revenue.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a good preamble. But most importantly, in line with the fact that the budget reading is tomorrow, local government budgeting usually comes into play after the national budget has been read. But we do know that the reading of the budget is a ritual. The budget has already been rolled out. We know the various sector allocations and how the local governments are also looking to tap into the allocations for their own budgeting for the next financial year. How is Nakawa?
The problem that is in Nakawa, I think it is across this country. And I don't think Ugandans own these budgets. Reason being, for us to come up with a budget, full participation of the citizens must be involved. When the budget call circular or framework paper is issued out on every 15th of September of the substantial month, we are expected as local leaders to convene from our village councils, parish councils, divisions, to highlight the challenges and priorities in our given localities. And that is the process. That is how the budgeting process starts. Those who are viewing us or watching us here, you may agree with me that little is done in our local communities in regards to the budget. Now villages have resorted to only having security meetings as opposed to having planning meetings for their localities. If we could follow that procedure of getting challenges from the villages or cells, then we integrate them to the parish level. From the parish level, a councillor, representative of the parish to a given council, brings those challenges on board. Vis-a-vis, because a budget is not just a wish list. A budget, you must look at the revenues collected in a given locality, vis-a-vis the priorities that they do have. That's what entails the budget. But what is happening is, you'll preside over a division where the district, because at a level of a division or a sub-county, your priorities have to be vetted again at the district level, you know, and sometimes the district has veto powers over you. When you come, when you, for example, outline the priorities that you do have, they may consider them or not. And that's where the challenge begins. Year in, year out, you bring out the wish lists, and there's nothing that is done. That affects service delivery. If at all the local governments are empowered, if at all we have our own envelopes where we can sit, identify priorities, money is allocated, Ugandans will interest themselves in this entire budgeting process. Gone are the days when Ugandans were excited when the budget is going to be read. Sometimes Ugandans even just watch it on news. They no longer interest themselves in following what is happening in the country. It is because they are not involved in the entire budgeting process. Yet ideally, the budgeting process involves full participation of the community, right from the cells, from the villages to the parish level, and more so, we at our level as a council, we must consult various stakeholders, the opinion leaders, the religious leaders, so that everyone becomes involved. But what is happening now, you'll see at Parliament, maybe at the district, the ministerial policy statement is read, then it goes to Parliament, Parliament passes, then the president says, no, I don't like such a budget. You go back. So, is the budget for the people or is for the president? Those are the things that we need to question ourselves, because I may not take even far. Was it last financial year when Parliament had passed the budget, but the president had to bounce it back because it didn't capture his own interests. Yet the budget is supposed to capture the interests of the Ugandans, because it is the Ugandans who are paying for this money. And if government is wise enough, empower the local governments. Once you empower the local governments will be able to address issues of health. Local governments shall be able to address the issues of road networks. Local governments shall be able to address the issue of education, schools. Once you empower local governments, it will be even easier for you to manage this country. But look at an environment that we're in, that even anything that we need to have in our given locality, be it a toilet, you need a president to come and launch something like that. Then what is the role of the political head of a given city or a division? So that's a challenge, and practically that is what is happening, and we must rise up. This current financial budget that they're going to read, all the divisions in Kampala, capital city, we shunned the process of sending wish lists to the authority, because it was becoming a song. It's a story. The year in, you send these priorities, you send this wish list, you send wish list, and there's nothing that is done. Okay. And our reason was rotating about the devolution of powers.
Oh, okay.
Unless when you empower us, the divisions, we shall be able to convene. We'll
be talking a little bit more about devolution of powers and empowering the local governments to be able to come up with their own ordinances, especially when it comes to how the disbursements are made and the allocations too. But we have a representative of the president, especially at district level in Kayunga. Mr. Lyombia asked the question, is the budget for the president or the budget is for the people? Can you respond to him?
Yeah. Definitely the budget is for the people. Before the reading of the budget, we always have regional budget conferences at every region, whereby districts gather, sit, convene meetings, and discuss the challenges that were encountered in the previous budget allocation, and then also discuss the priorities where funds should be allocated. These regional budget conferences are always established at the regions. Just that the challenges that are encountered, some leaders don't attend because they feel that it's not very important. Therefore, leaders should be empowered to know their roles. Some leaders don't know their roles, but government makes it a point to involve all the stakeholders in the budget allocation. So besides the regional budget conferences, we have the district conferences. The speaker talked about leaving out the chairpersons, LC1, the chairpersons at the parish and at the sub-county. But during the district budget conferences, all these leaders are brought on board, right from the LC1s up to the sub-county, then to the district. And this is whereby all leaders sit, converge, and discuss. They give accountability of what happened in the previous budget allocation. They look at priorities. Where should we allocate this money? How is the education sector working? How is the health sector working? Therefore, this budget is not for the president, like the speaker is saying. This budget is for the people, and people are involved 100% in the decision making, because the president cannot know what happens in Kayunga. Definitely, unless when leaders sit and converge and then take reports back to Ministry of Finance, and that is where the budget allocation comes from. Therefore, according to me and according to my perspective, local leaders are involved right from the grassroots in the budget conferences for the district. Just like the way I said, these conferences are politicized. There are leaders who don't attend. This is NRM. So they miss out on information. They miss out on decision making and on participation. Therefore, this is a budget for Uganda. It is our budget. It is not for the president's budget. It is for the people. It is for the people. The allocation is for the people. The schools that are constructed are for the people. The healthy facilities are for the people. They are not for the president. Therefore, the budget is for all of us, and we should own it. And I call upon leaders, when there are district conferences at the district, please come and attend and give your views. The others who attend sit behind and doze off. They don't even participate. Therefore, involve yourself.
They wait to raise the hand.
Some of them don't even raise the hand. Therefore, the budget is ours. We should always convene in these meetings when they are set up.
Allow me to stay with you on the aspect of politicization, especially when it comes to consultations. You are a representative of the president at district level, and you work exclusively on the terms and interests of the president. Maybe when the political leaders you accuse of politicizing the issue, especially with regard to budget consultations, are simply also reacting to the way you conduct business as a representative of the president. Have resident district commissioners come to a point where they exclusively pursue only what the president has in terms of their directives? Can you, for example, agree that working with the leaders who you say politicize this issue is fundamental to achieving what the president might want? Because we know who the RCC, who the RDC works for.
Yes, definitely. We are presidential representatives. The president of Uganda is a president of all people in the country, and our interest is to give service delivery to all people in the country, not to a particular group of people. Take, for instance, when a school is established, it is for all Ugandans. When a road is constructed, it is for all Ugandans. Therefore, we work in the interest of all the people as we represent the president, who is again the president of all Ugandans. Yeah, but just that to the political part, people have gone so far as looking at votes as the most important priority than even budget allocation. There are leaders who think that if I attend a budget conference at the district, my NUP voters will not vote for me. They will think that I'm aligning myself with the government which is in power. So they look at it as a way of, I can call it seeking for cheap popularity from voters rather than offering service delivery. Whatever comes in their minds, what are my voters saying? If I go to the RDC's office, what are my voters saying? We have leaders from opposition who sit there and die with problems, but they even fear to access the RDC's office, thinking that if I go to the RDC's office, a certain voter will see me and he will not vote for me. So therefore, for me, according to my view, and according to the way I see how we shall offer service delivery to the people, we should stop politicizing everything. There are issues that should bring us together. Take, for instance, that budget allocation. We should come together because we all work for the interests of the people.
Interesting there. Mr. Lyombia.
Yes.
You're dying with things.
Not really.
Including your peers. Respond to that, but also afford us some updates especially when it comes to ongoing efforts to ensure that the local governments claw back some powers, especially when it comes to decisions made and allocation on particular aspects within their locality, because it's important. That discussion has been on for a while. I don't know who is ceding some space or powers. I don't know who is not, but I know contestation is still ongoing.
Yeah, sure.
Just update us on what is happening.
Yes, Madam RDC has talked about the district conferences and engagements that are being done, but she will agree with me that most of those engagements are done for accountability purposes. And when you look at the budget call circular, there is always a backlog. That even takes us to always making council or inviting council to organize special meetings, unplanned meetings in that regard because of the poor planning. Every year in and year out, when the budget call circular is issued out, it is us, the political side, that tasks the executive, the technical team, to inform us how prepared they are in regards to the budgeting process. But there comes a process when they want you to sit, for example, today with the local community, they want you to convene council tomorrow. When you haven't even concentrated much on their priorities or filtered the impact, the input of the people. So in most cases, we always have backlogs in these conferences, and that portrays a picture that whichever we are doing, just the budget is already issued out, and they're just doing something like form of accountability. And another thing that I want us to understand is that building a school or health center is not enough. It's like you're building monuments, as one land judge said recently. There are things that go within those services. Schools need to be empowered. Do they have teachers? Is there support for those schools? In the health centers, is there medicine? Or you're just seeing a magnificent building, Kawempe Referral. You're seeing a Chirudo hospital. But when you take victims there is no support that makes something to be called a hospital. So we need to also look into that. To take you back, the challenges that even make the political leadership of given locality look more of people who are doing nothing is that the mandate is not given to them. The laws are very clear. When you look at the framers of the property tax, I appreciated, actually I came with this law, the Property Rates and Governance Act of the city. It has a very, very good concept in section 37 that talks of the property tax fund. It even highlights that, it even highlights how monies are collected. And when monies are collected, where should the monies go? If we introduce property tax, where should that money go? That money is supposed to go to a property tax fund of a given locality. For example, in a parish like Mutungo, if in Mutungo we are collecting 500 million per year from the landlords, from you the tenants who are renting in the landlords' houses, there is that tax that you pay from the business, from the shops. When this money is collected, the law clearly says that 75% of this money shall go to a property tax fund of that locality, of Mutungo. And the people of Mutungo shall sit and plan for this money in line with the sectors that money is supposed to do, like road construction and maintenance, street lighting, anti-malaria drainages, physical planning, garbage collection. We wouldn't be dying for garbage. We are in a country, you see, for those people who have traveled, you'll agree with me that garbage is a resource in some countries. People are even not charged money to collect garbage from their households. But we are in a country where garbage is a challenge. Garbage is just killing people because we are not putting into consideration, or we are not actualizing the provision of the law. This same law even goes ahead to inform the taxpayers, rental taxpayers, to form themselves into an association to oversee the performance of their what? Of their money. This law was introduced in 2005. 10 years down the road, they introduced what they call Public Finance Management Act of 2015, which says all money is collected.
Introduce reforms.
Shall go to a consolidated fund. So now whichever money that is being collected in the community is going to Kasaija. When you ask for money, he will tell you, money will come. Money will come. He ends, he's telling you money will do what?
And it has come. Tomorrow he has it. He's going to show you exactly where he's putting it.
If we streamline that, Ugandans have no problem with paying tax. But what is their tax doing? It is sad, a Ugandan, to hear that we are losing close to 10 trillion shillings to corruption. I tried, I'm a statistician, I have some figures with me, I must have some figures with me, but when you look at 10 trillion shillings and divide it by 365 days in a year, we lost close to 27 billion shillings per day.
Per day.
How many schools are those? How many health centers are those? How much can that money pay for RDCs in the entire country?
Oh, interesting there. RDCs are already being paid enough. Yes.
And now they have assistants, deputy assistant, deputy assistant.
Okay. Madam Seguya, Kayunga district is a flashpoint. And I've always emphasized this, be it on the political or socio-economic front. It's a collection of so many tribes and communities that many times you are at pains to understand exactly what Kayunga is. And that must pose a bit of a challenge for service delivery. And when it comes to the monitoring issue, I do not know how exactly the monitoring of local government expenditures in Kayunga is done. You must be able to cite for us some of the pain points that Kayunga is experiencing, but most importantly, how they can be addressed, especially in light of the upcoming financial year.
Like you've said, that Kayunga has a diversity of tribes, and this brings to a high population. Kayunga is highly populated. When you visit schools, you find that the schools are highly populated compared to the schools where I have previously worked in other districts. Therefore, the challenges that are growing in schools is that the classroom blocks are no longer enough. You visit a school and you find a population of 2,000 learners. So in the new budget, I think we should prioritize on constructing more classroom blocks. The government has played this role. In fact, as I talk now, we did that for the whole of this week and for the whole of the next week. We have been moving with the Minister for Planning, that is Honorable Golobi, commissioning classroom blocks in different primary schools. But however, still, much as we are commissioning classroom blocks, there is a challenge. We need more classroom blocks. When you look at the number of learners in schools, it is overwhelming. Then another priority to be looked at, the pit latrines. Due to the high number of learners in schools, most pit latrines are filled up. Pit latrines can even hardly run for a year. So therefore, when we are budgeting for the new budget process, we should look at construction of latrines. There are schools where you visit and you find that teachers are using the same latrines with the learners because of the overgrowing population, whereby a latrine is constructed at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year it's already filled up. So priority should be, more funds should be allocated to the latrines, to the classroom blocks, then even to the roads. The president is on a PDM tour, whereby he's preaching to Ugandans that all Ugandans should come up and join the working economy. The PDM tour PDM is basically very, very successful. People have engaged in agriculture. Agriculture has been commercialized. Gone are the days whereby people would only grow food for home consumption, but now all foods that are grown are for selling. Now that we are moving into the money economy, we should prioritize on the roads, because we need good roads to transport these agricultural products to the market. So roads should be given, especially these feeder roads that transport agricultural products to the market, should be given a very, very big priority. Then the community should be given community development. We need funds for the youth livelihood. Much as we have PDM, we have other development programs like Youth Livelihood. There are more funds needed in order to empower, to empower the youth, in order to involve in order to overcome the challenge of unemployment. Therefore, we should add more funds for that, in community development, youth empowerment, women entrepreneurship fund. We need funds for the aged people. Each month they have to receive 20,000 shillings across the country. So these are all priorities where government should look at in this budget allocation process. Then we have skilling. As the president is moving across the country, the president is looking at the industrial skilling hubs. These skilling hubs are regional, but when you look at our region, the central region, our skilling hub is in Kayunga. The skilling hub is in Kayunga, but we have a very big population, whereby you find that few people are still benefiting from being skilled. So as government is prioritizing on the budget allocation, they should construct more skilling hubs in the region. Take, for instance, I think we should have a skilling hub in the other side of Greater Luero, because people from Greater Luero have to trek all the way to Kayunga to access the
there's a lot of pressure.
The industrial hub, yes. Now that we are moving into an economy which is empowering the youth to be job creators rather than job seekers, more money should be allocated to the hubs. And I want to thank the President of Uganda, and I want to inform you Ugandans that the youth out there are willing to embrace the skilling program. Take, for instance, the applications were really many for this coming intake from Kayunga, just that some of them were cut off because we have other people who come from other districts. Therefore, more money should be invested, should be allocated in the skilling programs.
Talking about that, what is happening in Nakawa?
I'm very worried. And if
how much money are you pumping into skilling youth and empowering women? Or you're lamenting about it?
It's indeed. And I, for one, I don't believe in the issue of first of all issuing out handouts to people. I've had a challenge with my division in Nakawa. She talked of PDM. I've been asking for a report on the beneficiaries of PDM, but in vain. A report from the officers.
Okay.
Even RCCs, they cannot avail with the report. Yet my role as a speaker or as a leader in that given community, I'm supposed to monitor the beneficiaries, because I wanted to register some success stories out of this. But I'm seeing it is something that is not supporting my community. Reason being, maybe for Kayunga, but look at the parish.
Before you go into that, what reasons have the handlers of the PDM rollout given when you ask for reports on how the process is ongoing?
You see, they have that technical language that they always use. We shall provide. We are still integrating them. We are still working out something. We have written letters, and they will never provide you with that list. They always beat around the bush whenever you mention something like PDM.
Have you escalated it?
Definitely, even in our councils. Even in our councils. That's why, and that's why sometimes our councils are rendered like powerless, because when you pass recommendations and they are not respected by the authorities, it becomes hard. PDM is more of an NRM thing. It is not a government thing. And when you look at even its composition, because you will see RDCs and RCCs working for NRM instead of working for the people. Because if such an activity happens, or an development comes, you need to liaise with the leadership. But look at its composition. You will never see a councillor. You will never see a mayor. You will never see a political leader elected by the people. In its composition, you will see the chairman of NRM. If at all they are lenient enough, they will consider the LC1 and LC2, and you know what is the composition of the LC1 and the LC2s. So that has really, for us in Nakawa, we are not seeing its impact. We are not feeling its impact. And even look at the parishes that we do have. I have a parish, for example, like Mutungo, that has over like 100,000 people. How will they benefit from the 100 million program? How I wish that money was allocated to a given parish. Then the parish sits and identifies a communal project, maybe a hospital, a school, and they resort that money to that given project. It can benefit the entire population in the city here. But when you adopt that model of allocating the same money that you're giving to a village in Kayunga that has 1,000 people, and it is the same model you're using in the city center, in a parish like Mutungu where I have over like 100,000 people, you will see there is an imbalance. So we need to revise, we need to sit on board and come up with a way forward on how we can modify this, as opposed to giving out handouts. You will give someone money today, you give a farmer money today in a Kayunga, goes to farming. That farmer even can't even wait for the harvest of his coffee. These people sell their coffee even before it is harvested. They sell their maize even before they are harvested. Why are they selling the maize? It is because they have a sick child they have to take to hospital. So you cannot benchmark on PDM when even the other services that are based on the democratic dividends are not being catered for. First, improve the infrastructure, improve the health facilities, improve on the road network, improve on the schools. A Ugandan won't need that handout once you address such issues, because it is where the Ugandan spends most of his money. Even when you give that person 2 million shillings per year or 10 million shillings, that money will be phased out in a minute.
All right, I was still looking into the controversy surrounding the auto EPS and how the non-tax revenue that is being realized, and it is in billions, because if 600,000 Uganda shillings is going to be taken out of you on any one day, and you are many offenders within the 24 hours span of time, then that means billions of shillings can be realized. But there is a hypothesis I want to just toss to both of you. If, for example, within Nakawa, all offenders with regard to the auto EPS, that money goes to Nakawa, and whoever has committed the offensive Machindi, that money goes to Machindi, and the same applies for Kayunga, and the same applies for Tororo, for Buhweju, and Amolata. I doubt whether there are some cameras in some places across the country where monitoring will be done. Would that solve some key problems? Let me begin with Madam Seguya. Will it solve some of the long-standing allocation problems where you don't have to wait for the central government to send money, despite the fact that you have already existing avenues through which you can generate some revenue? Is that something you think can work? Yes, would you advise the government to change and pivot?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I would. Yes, definitely. I would agree with that. Local governments to be given a mandate to collect their own revenue and allocate it the way they would want. Because when they collect revenue and they allocate it the way they would want, first of all, they will have participated in the decision making of the revenue collected. They will be motivated to collect revenue because they know that when we collect it, then it is us who sit and budget for it, then allocate it. Then even the projects that will be made out of the revenue that is collected will be owned by the local governments. This will make monitoring easy and management, because they will look at these projects as their own. So allowing local governments to collect revenue and utilizing revenue is not bad. However, there are some challenges that can go with it. The first challenge is corruption. We still have high levels of corruption in local governments. I always talk about selling of government jobs. I always talk about shadow work. I always talk about embezzling money for structures. Therefore, sometimes it is challenging to leave all the revenue for the local governments. And we have seen political leaders running away with money and disappearing with money because of corruption. So it would be a very good good thing if local governments would manage and allocate their budgets, but that corruption is a very big problem, which would again make revenue missing. Apart from corruption, we can also look at political interference at local governments. Collecting revenue and allocating it would be good, but sometimes it is interfered with by politicians. In these local governments, we have political leaders who think that they are so powerful and they are more powerful than others, whereby, given the revenue collected, a district chairperson would want all the money to be invested in the area where he or she comes from. So this could become a problem whereby other areas would live without the basic needs. So this is why government has to intervene to supervise, to see how this the budget allocation is located, to look at the amount of revenue, because if you leave it individually, take for instance for the town clerks, for the cows, without the central government intervention, that element of corruption is very dangerous. Okay. However, I highly agree, if we can eradicate corruption, if we can eradicate political interference, it is not bad for local governments to collect their revenue and allocate the revenue according to the way they want.
Eradicating corruption, interference, it's a hard paper, but hard papers are supposed to be written. Mr. Luyobya, if the fines that are being slapped on Ugandans today within Nakawa division were left for Nakawa, you guys would be rich as a division.
No, we wouldn't.
And you would be able to do a lot of
My answer
work.
No, we wouldn't. And Nakawa will remain the same.
Why not?
Because first assess on other penalties that we have been paying. What has it been doing? It is the same, because this is not the only the express penalty tickets that are being issued by police. They are not the only penalties that are being issued from Ugandans. But where is all that money going? Where is all that money going? We expect more of the same. I think this is only intended to milk the wananchi more. We have a lot of money that is being levied. Even pay as you earn. Pay as you earn. It is crazy to charge over like 30% from a salary earner. Yet it is a salary earner who owns the vehicle. He will go to a petrol station, buy fuel, is tasked 1,500 shillings on a liter. The same salary earner buys a property, builds a house, is charged property tax. So all this money that are being collected, they will do nothing, and there's nothing that will change until when we empower our given localities. We empower the people to participate in the decision making. We empower the people to plan for their money through their leadership. But if their leadership, if their leaders' hands are tied, there is nothing we expect more. It is sad to see that in Nakawa we can't even have a state of address of the entire division. We only based on the set of address of the Lord Mayor of the entire city. How I wish if money is being located in Nakawa, we expect a mayor for Nakawa to come, invite stakeholders, and gives them a report.
State of the division.
A state of the division address.
Okay.
As opposed to having a state of Kampala address. These are two different things. The same would happen in Bari constituency, in other parishes, I mean in other parts of the country. So all these that are being done, their intention is to squeeze the wananchi so that you don't even remain with a single person. The government always wants to govern or rule over people who are not capacitated in terms of finances. They want to see us poor. That is why all this is coming back. There's a colleague of mine, he works at Macquarie University Business School. He comes from NTV. So far he has two penalties. I asked him how much are you earning? He told me I'm earning 1.8, but you already have the 1.2 on penalty. So you're only working for 600,000. How will you manage?
Interesting.
We need to revise this. We need to revise this. It is really insane.
Madam Mariam Seguya, RDC Kayunga, as well as Godfrey Luyombia, the Speaker for Nakwa Division. Many thanks for... And
the next mayor.
Well, we're going to have to wait on that. Interesting submissions there. We are very thankful for making time for Morning at NTV. Now, something interesting as I transition into the break. There was a master's degree holder who vied for a local council 2 position. And in one of our discussions, he said he wants to run the local council 2 like a president. So, Edwin, I think we'll be looking out for you and state of the parish address. That is something that's interesting. We shall be looking forward to. But anyway, let's break because we need to be able to catch some breath, but most importantly, realign things in as far as Morning at NTV